All right, so I know you're going through a lot right now. You got a child pushing up against your ribs and probably making it difficult to breathe. So we're going to do this a little slower pace. Hopefully, you guys don't mind too much, but it'll be more interview style, I think, than anything. So we're going to start with a basic question. What did you want to be when you grew up, and what did you do to reach those goals?
Okay, so I think my biggest goal was to be a TV reporter.
Okay, like a weather girl or?
Not a weather girl, not big boobs, not big butt.
Boring.
Weather girl with like the tight dress.
Damn.
We don't have any of those goodies.
Boring.
Here.
Just kidding.
So I wanted to be an entertainment television reporter. So if you ever saw Liz Hernandez on E! News, that's kind of exactly what I wanted to do.
Okay.
But I never really knew what that meant, or I really never knew how to get there. I never really knew what I was doing, and I feel like the high school that we went to only prepped us so much for the real world. So when I went to college, I kind of felt like I did enough to get by, but I never did anything that helped me work towards my career goal. But nonetheless, I always knew that I wanted to work in entertainment. That's just something that I knew was for me. So sure enough, I did take like a couple of film classes in high school, and if you know me, I was very much involved in like dance and theater and all of that stuff.
You were in Pippin in drama, and I still have that photo that I'm definitely gonna put on blast here.
Oh my god! For some reason in high school, I was like the poster girl for all the plays that we did. Ever. And it's just like not good. Anyway, so I was always involved in that world. And so after high school, obviously I went to UC Irvine. I've said this like a bunch of times. I'm tired of saying that. But I did major in film and media.
Zot.
And I minored.
What was the other one? Little Delta Gammas?
That's my sorority. Shut up. I minored in Spanish because I was like, if I work in Spanish entertainment, whatever, this is going to be good.
As the Univision weather girl.
As the Univision girl. That never happened, clearly. Well, but now I'm like the host of Hustle and Soul. So
kind
it's
of,
like,
yeah. It's even better if you think about
5% there. So I went to UC Irvine, studied film and media. I think like halfway through being in college, I kind of realized that like maybe I didn't go to the best school for what I wanted to do.
I was going to say that earlier, but I don't want to cut you off because I'm, learning my bad habits. But I want to agree with you on that. The lack of preparation, I think, that we had at Southgate High School. And there's nothing wrong. Like, we had some great professors. We have some terrible professors. But I think in general, the curriculum...
mostly terrible.
The curriculum... No, we had some great... Mr. Lewis was amazing. Like, he was...
I didn't have him.
Oh, you fucked up. Anyways. When you go into college and you experience, like, where other people from different areas got educations and, like, they know certain things, they know certain books, and you're just like... Why don't I know this?
That is. Yeah, I did enough to get by. Like,
and
I just did enough to get
They made it seem like it was common knowledge, and you feel so like dumb because you don't know like this book or this story or this person or this year of this war, and it's just like, was I a terrible student or was I just not prepared for this kind of education? And that's kind of, I think that sucks for what's going on in our community. That I think we need to figure out, or at least bring awareness to, like, let these kids know that they shouldn't like let that slide.
Yeah, and I think for me, or maybe for a lot of people too, it was just one of those things where like your parents are so like, you need to go to college.
And you're first generation too, so a lot of our parents don't even know the stuff that we're learning.
Exactly, but not only that, but I think it's like you're just amped, and your goal is to just go to college. That it's just like, I'm gonna pick whatever school feels right. Yeah. And honestly, I obviously didn't do like my full-on research as to what was going to help me get to my career. It was just like, I'm just going to go to college. For me, I'm going to get out of here, and then I'll figure everything out along the way.
So back to UC Irvine. So you took film and media and minored in Spanish.
Yeah.
And then what else did you do to get you towards, did you do any internships or any type of
I did
programs?
So I worked within the Humanities Resource Center, and then I worked as a film projectionist at UCI. So
that sounds like a fancy word for the person that brings in the TV with the roll cart.
It's not.
What was the physical work that you did?
So basically, professors would come in, teach their class, and I would have all of the film or whatever they were showing that day, and I would project it, and I would go and press play and like make sure they were set up and that the class was on time and like all that good stuff.
So you were AV.
Yeah, I projected the film, Barry.
So you press play.
Kind of, but sometimes you had to take like the old school
No,
tapes, and like that gets confusing. You know, it's like a full on.
Yeah,
I got paid like $10.
You can't even work our Apple TV at home.
I can't, and it was rough. It was one of those things like I would have to show up like an extra 5 minutes just so I made sure I didn't.
Anybody
fuck
knows
them
Arleen?
up.
She that's a lot. I was asking for a lot.
Shut up! I got paid like $10 an hour. It was like one of those like student jobs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I started. And then as far as internships, I think it's like actually pretty funny because you got me my first internship. Are we naming places we worked? I remember, I think it was like my third year of college. And we would text. It was like over summer. I was like, dude, like I really don't have any internship.
Because you were back home, weren't you?
No, I was driving from Irvine. This goes back to like that whole like crazy story. So I had messaged you and you were like, oh, I'm working for like this really cool clothing brand, blah, blah, blah. And you're doing like all this like cool marketing, social media stuff. And like you guys like knew celebrities and we're working with all these athletes and like all this like cool stuff. Which is true.
Yeah, it's all true.
And I remember messaging you and I was like, I just need something to do. Like help me get something to do that's going to help me get somewhere.
Yeah.
So sure enough, you got me an interview with.
You call me the plug of plugs, you know what I mean? No, I used to work at PD.
So I mean,
we'll get into my story, but yeah, so I got you an internship at Popper Demand.
He'll tell you more about like his little job journey, but you got me an internship at Popular Demand.
Yeah.
And I don't even know like what the official duties were, but we did everything there. We interned, we did everything there. It was a clothing brand, but the guy in charge actually put me in charge of like social media, like film stuff. Yeah. So I was geared more towards that because obviously that's what I was studying. And it was fun. Like it was a really fun internship.
It was a fun environment for sure.
And I think on paper it looked really good. So that helped me get more internships beyond that. Yeah. I also interned at a film production company. It was kind of like a startup. And I got so lucky because this company was in Irvine. Yeah. And I think I was like one of the first interns that they hired. It was called Main Street Films, and we actually had some like really cool movies, like one with Jessica Alba, one with Haley Steinfeld. She wasn't as like well known as she is now.
Still don't know who that is.
Anyway, so yeah, I was like a marketing intern there. So we distributed film theatrically into different theaters, and we ran all the marketing campaigns for that. So that's actually what like shifted my career too, because obviously like at this point I hadn't really done anything to get to my TV reporting goal. A lot of professionals that I would talk to would always say like being a TV reporter is like a struggle. You have to go out of state. Yeah. You really don't have like guaranteed pay, and you're like consistently looking for work. So that was kind of always in the back of my mind too, which is why it was easy for me to be steered like in a different direction. So I did a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I feel like marketing is even like a lot of behind the scenes stuff too. But when I interned at this place called Main Street Films, the communications director actually like sat me down and was like, you know what, like you're really good at doing marketing and PR. Like I think if we were to hire you, like this is the department that you would fit in. And I was like 100% agree. Like that's just
if I can get paid, sign me up.
Yeah, like that's what I want to do. So the company ended up going through like stuff as like a lot of companies do or currently are. So
that didn't pan out.
That didn't pan out. There was like no open positions, whatever, on to the next. So after that, I did intern for like smaller production companies. So I did also get experience in like producing short films, producing TV, which is not necessarily directed towards like my current career, but
you got the experience.
Yeah, and it just makes you well-rounded as a person who is working in the entertainment industry. Yeah, too. So that was really fun. And then after working in production, I actually had applied to an internship at Fox Deportes, which is the sister's channel of Fox Sports. And I got an internship as a marketing and publicity intern.
This one was paid though, right?
Yeah, they were all paid internships. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Damn, so am I the only one that didn't do an unpaid? No, PD was unpaid. PD was unpaid for sure.
And it was probably like the most work. PD was unpaid, but other than that, all of the internships that $10 an hour. I think like interns get paid $15 or something like that
now, yeah.
Which is like crazy because I used to drive so far.
Well, first off, PD was Studio City, so you drive from Irvine to Studio City.
But I would carpool with you sometimes, remember?
You'd carpool from Irvine to Southgate
and then we'd go together, to get paid like $10 to $12
especially get paid in gas.
and like maybe a lunch.
Maybe.
But I do have to say, interning at Fox Deportes has been the most amazing like stepping stone for me in my career, and like opened up so many doors. So I can never complain about.
I think that's a big takeaway. I think that a lot of people need to realize, like, even if you're getting paid, if you're not getting paid, I mean, obviously you want to get paid, but sometimes the opportunity is worth a lot more than the income. But for you, luckily you're getting paid, even if it was just gas money. Like, it was worth it because you're able to be in a like reputable company.
Yeah.
Reputable. In a reputable company, you're able to, shake hands in the room with the right people who are kind of managing or directing certain things. And it's a bigger industry, and but it's also like a tight knit industry, I think, as far as TV.
It is.
The biggest thing is obviously network your ass off, like get to know the right people, shake the right hands, be in the right rooms, go to the right events, and do all that, because you never know who's going to be where, and you never know where you're going to see that person again. If you can put a face to the name, if they can put a face to the name to you, or a name to the face, then you're winning. So
like, I know working for free sucks, and I know being underpaid sucks a lot, and like I've been in that situation
100%
many times. So I think it's like, work your ass off, be willing to do the work, even if the pay is not immediate, but also know when to stop.
Yeah, know what your end goal is. Like, if it's a stepping stone, and as long as you know it's a stepping stone, then 100% go for it. But if it's something that you think you want to take the long run, and you're not getting the right income, the right support, any of that kind of stuff, like, it doesn't really make it's a dead end.
Yeah, and I think it depends where you are, and what situation you're into, because I think like for some internships, like, I'm sure you can relate to this too with your jobs. It's like you would go above and beyond, but in the long run, it didn't really work out, or it didn't work out in your favor.
Yeah.
But for me, when I was at Fox Deportes, my mindset was like, whoa, like, I'm at a big company. I'm working for people that are badass and that I like and that we get along and I know are trying to help me. So when it comes to any project, I'm going to say yes. Like, when it comes to any project, like, I will be here before 9 and I will be here after whatever time you need me to be here, just because I know that work specifically is going to benefit me and pay off.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, like, you're passionate about what you're doing, you're in the right place, and you're actually happy doing what you're doing. So I think that's a big benefit, because I think a lot of people go above and beyond and hate their job. And it's like, you lose that drive, you lose that motivation. But for you, it worked out.
And I think after a while, for those people too, because I've been there before, I think it's okay to stop and realize that, okay, maybe you do deserve better, and then it's time to move on and find something somewhere else. Another thing I want to say is just like, be open to everything, and just, I got this from my mom actually. My mom always told me, like, if you don't know how to do something, like, figure that shit out.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. It's the fake it till you make it, or fake it till you become it is really what it is.
And that's what I did a lot at Fox Deportes, because I did marketing PR, but the publicist there had a show called Futuros y Leyendas, and we produced this show entirely in-house with 3 people. 4 if you count the editor. So it was a really cool show. We basically did like biographical segments on different athletes that were obviously Latinos. Name drop. So we did like Gio Dos Santos.
You probably heard of him.
Kaká. We did
just a big soccer star.
Oh my God, help me out. Why can't
Carlos
I remember?
Santana.
Well, Carlos Santana was a part of our show. We did an interview with him too. And I'm
what's
blanking.
The Raiders coach.
And Tom Flores, who was like one of the first, I think, Latino, I can't remember at this exact time, but Latino coach for the Oakland Raiders. So basically, we would produce an entire show segment on these different athletes' stories.
I think to like kind of paint a picture of it, it's like, if you watch, which is going to be a good segment to the next career path that you went to. It
is.
When you watch HBO Showtime Boxing, and they give the boxers backstory before the actual fight, and show like where they came from, the family, like what they do to train, all that kind of stuff. That is the type of series that you created at Deportes, or you were a part of at Deportes.
Exactly.
And which is funny enough, like I said, mentioned that because you ended up, after Deportes, you went to, which is a boxing promotions company, which was closely tied with Golden Boy and all those big names. So you were in the we talked about this before. You were like in the mix of the boxing industry.
I did go into boxing, so it's not funny, but because, like you said, that's the whole point of networking, right? meet with the right people, you connect with the right people, you do the work, and then you get recommended or you get some sort of payoff from it. So my aunt actually worked at the U.S. Bank Tower, and she knew this like big time boxing promoter. And at the time, he was looking for an assistant. So this was like my first kind of like real job, I think. Yeah, I mentioned I worked at Nordstrom before, but like that doesn't count. It doesn't count. Like I wouldn't.
We've all worked retail at some point in life.
Yeah, that's just like your meantime job. So I think this is like my first.
Yeah, because Deportes was technically an internship. You were paid, but it was technically an internship. It was technically an
internship. So I remember she's like, "Oh, you're working at Deportes," or like they all knew I was working at like Fox Deportes or whatever. So she's like, "Are you still interested in like working at sports?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." So she got me the interview, and she was like, "Come in and like do the interview. Like I've known the man for years, whatever. He's worked in my building, blah blah blah." They were opening their own promotions company, and I was like, "I'm down." And it's so funny because
hold on. So for those who don't know, like a promotion company is like, I think the normal person who doesn't know sports would consider like the money team, like what Mayweather does. Like that exactly. Is the type of company that they're creating.
So they have talent as athletes as their talent, and beyond that they also put together the events, so which is all of the boxing fights that you watch on TV. Someone who worked at the company at the time called my boss from my internship and was right? like from Deportes and was like, "What's this girl all about?" This girl was good. Yeah. So I got the job.
Yeah, and it's funny because like you think when people ask for referrals and it's like very professional, but they literally just call and just like, "Yo, like tell me the real story about this girl.
Yeah, give me the
like,
real deal.
Is she crazy or not?"
So that happened. So I got a positive.
If you guys hear a cricket, our windows are open because it's October and it's like 90 degrees.
So yeah, so I got good feedback from my from my previous boss at Fox Deportes. I ended up getting the job, and basically I was an assistant at this company, and I won't even talk about like what that entailed because I'm lying, dude. I had been assistant to an actress before.
Oh yeah, you were the assistant to the actress from the show. What's the show called?
I can't say it.
What's the show called? Oh, you can't say it?
I can't say it, but it was someone on MTV. So I was actually
one of those MTV like scripted show, not like a reality show, but like
not a reality show.
What are the shows that were on around that time, like Teen Wolf and like all those?
Kind of.
It's not that one.
I can't name drop, but yeah. So I was actually an assistant to an actress before, and so it was very interesting. Like if you see. I'll just compare it to like the assistants you see on the Kardashians, but probably like not to that extent.
It's like Diddy's assistant on Making the Band and all that.
Yeah, like when you see assistants on TV, it's pretty much what your role is like. So I won't even I won't even talk about that. And I try to make that look good on paper. I think I did.
Oh, yeah, you got a passport out of it. You had an expedited passport.
So annoying. I did.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay, but I was an assistant, so like if you ever think that your job sucks or anything like that,
it could be worse.
No, it can't be worse. Like I think everybody just goes through those type of jobs.
Yeah.
But there's always perks to it too.
There's stepping
stones, I wouldn't say like anything negative. It's a stepping stone, and in the end, I think it really ended up being a positive experience.
I think it shaped you to be somebody who's. I think you're very humble. Yeah. Like you're able to take.
I've always been humble though. I feel like I've always been humble, and like at UCI, like I worked in the fucking cafeteria at one point, like swiping people's cards. So I think I've always been humble. So I think it's just part of who we are. Like, True. It's just part of who we are. It's like. We're willing to do these things because we need to, and at the end of the day, it's like whatever you got to do to hustle and like make money, like you'll do.
Hustle and soul.
Hustle and soul. So I was very, very involved in like everything and anything.
And you got to know the fighters too, so the fighters knew you on a first name basis, and like they still follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, like I had relationships with all the fighters, like with all the PR teams. Even like our sponsors like Corona, like sometimes we'd have to like go help them set up and things like that, and I was just like in constant communication with people who were very valuable. So I think that was a very big perk for me, and I still talk to some of the people. Like we're in the same
circle somehow,
and like even going from Deportes to this new company, it's so funny because when I was at Deportes, I would schedule all of the PBC fights, like Premier Boxing Champions fights, and we would also work on the press conferences with a lot of the fights. And I remember like going to Staples and doing the exact same thing I did at Ringstar at Deportes.
Yeah.
So when I came to this new place, it's like, oh wait, like I know the publicist. Oh wait, like I know what PBC
everybody
is.
knew
like, and everybody knew each other. Because
like, are you the Arleen from?
Yeah, and everybody knew each other. So it's like just a really, really small world. So in the end, it's like whatever role you have, like just make the best of it, because you can always have another role. People will remember you, and you never know down the line who's gonna call you and be like, hey, come work for me.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, or like I think 1 week like into the job, I got into grad school, and then I was getting interviews for E-News.
Oh yeah.
And I had already accepted the job, and I was like
shattered.
Fuck my life.
Yeah, because the thing with the E-News thing is it was an interview. It wasn't even a guaranteed thing.
It wasn't even a guaranteed thing.
And this other one was already like locked in, good pay,
and I was getting
benefits,
money, and I was getting benefits.
Yeah.
So I was destroyed because E-News, I had obviously, like I just said it, like I had always wanted to work there, and I just felt like I didn't know what to do. But at the time, like I don't know why, I decided to take the job.
I think it goes back to, like you said, that's the type of people we are, where you have to hustle, and like you have this opportunity and you can't let that go because you don't have the liberty to just like walk away. For
sure. And then having an internship wouldn't have been as stable as I was at the moment. So I decided to keep the job because I was already a weekend, and I was like also in a weird kind of situation because my aunt had referred me.
You can't just dip.
And then the Fox Deportes person had like kind of giving good feedback on me, and I was like, I'm not and I'm not the person that quits like 1 week into a job. Like I can't do that. But then I decided to go to grad school too, which was like,
because why not?
Insane,
add
crazy.
Something else to your plate.
So I did the whole grad school thing while working full time. Crazy. I cried a lot, and then that's like around the time we started dating. So like I went through it, like, you know, all that story. I would drive from work to school at like leave work at 6, get to school by 7. I was always late.
Yeah.
And then get home like at 10, or like leave class at 10, and then go do homework. And it just, figure your life out if you want to go to grad school and have a plan. That's all I have to say. Again, I got connected somewhere else to my next job. Yeah. So I ended up working for another entertainment company, where I was also referred to the person from to this new entertainment company, and I actually migrated a little bit, and I was a sales coordinator. Yeah,
you went from interning, film related stuff, to executive assistant, doing a little bit everything, and then going into sales.
And then during grad school, I did teach. I've talked about this before,
so I won't talk about it. Speaking and all
but
that
I taught public speaking at Cal State LA. So I was a communications teacher. That was a lot of fun. But again, I feel like that kind of like was still like my little lost phase. I didn't know what I was doing, and it was just like, this just feels right for right now, and I'll figure it out later. Yeah. So then after that, I went to another company called Entertainment One.
If you've heard of Peppa Pig.
Yeah, they have Peppa Pig.
They own Peppa Pig.
PJ Masks, The Walking Dead, like big movies like
they
that.
They distribute music too.
And
like,
they distribute music. They
a lot of
work with Brandy. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I was a sales coordinator there, so it was still entertainment, but it was more so like selling TV shows. Mm-hmm. So when you see things on like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, we basically owned the rights to certain movies and television series, and we would sell them and distribute them to all of these like different partners or platforms, TV channels, Univision, all of that good stuff. Again, this job led me to the current job that I have now, which I think is like the biggest role I've had.
Yeah, I think now
you're my journey.
I mean, what's your official title?
So I'm a marketing and sales manager for a film TV distributor. So
another company like E1, and I think this one, I remember when you were talking about getting the job, I think I told you, this is opportunity to do the things that you've already been doing, but since it's a smaller team, you're able to kind of lead a team or lead a department or grow within that from the ground up. I mean, this company's been around for years, but they're in like a revamp stage, and I think that's kind of what swayed you towards it, because there's a lot more opportunity. Again, it's not really a stepping stone, because you're really able to grow within. If you really wanted to. And I think that's a big benefit of being in that company right now.
I think entertainment is just like such a big field industry.
the cool thing about the events is that there was an event in Miami, Nappy, right? So that's where all like the TV companies and the distributors and all that kind of mix and mingle and start to sell catalogs. And people from Univision, from the port, like they're there, so like you see the same people there. People know you because of your past. Yeah. So that's a big thing on why networking is so important.
Even just at my job, like as the marketing manager, like there's so much interaction on a day-to-day basis with all of our partners. And by partners, I do mean people like Amazon, Univision, Telemundo, like every television, every place you can watch a film or movie or a movie or TV. We're probably talking to and we've probably worked with. So it's amazing and I love it because we've gone to like screenings in Miami and you like network with people, you meet new people, like people across the country that you just like email every day. But it's so nice to like meet people in person and travel and do all of that stuff. And I love it. I feel like I don't see myself doing anything else really. Hopefully, you know, further down the line, there are more opportunities that open up with COVID right now. I feel like everything's a little bit scary. But yeah, I definitely think just take advantage of any opportunity that you are given and just make the best out of every situation and work your ass off and you will truly eventually get somewhere. Yeah. And now on to you.
See, that's why I wanted to start with you because I think you have the longer version and like you've been around like from TV stuff to sports stuff to teaching to boxing and all that kind of stuff. So I think you have.
I mean, it's all the same industry though. I feel like it all falls like within entertainment.
I think that it goes back to networking. Yeah, like
it goes back to networking. But then I think that also shows like how much you can do. But I think you can kind of relate a little bit to that too because even though you like own a clothing brand, there's more to. There are many different things that come with owning a clothing brand, and I feel like you've tapped into so many different aspects of that. Yeah. That has allowed you to like be more marketable and like have all of these different projects that I always talk
way
about.
to hype me up. Damn. So when I was younger, my goal and my vision and my dream was to become a radio DJ. I wanted to be on Power 106. I wanted to be DJing. I wanted to be on your fucking radios at 5 o'clock, all that kind of stuff. That was my like dream job, dream goal. So when I was younger, my grandpa was a DJ, and he took me to all his whatever parties he booked. He charged like $80, $100, I think at the time, and he would have all like the old school Spanish music. Like people booked him because of his selection. He has a crazy selection, like straight up. He just didn't know any of the trendy stuff, the hip hop, the reggaetons. So he brought me along. He'd pay me like $20 here and there. That kind of gave me like, oh shit, I can get paid to do this. Like I just like burning CDs on Napster.
Oh my god, I used to burn CDs a lot.
Yeah, I used to sell ringtones at my house. So I was always into music. Always had like the newest stuff. So once I started seeing that I can make a little money, I told my dad like, yo, I really want to be a DJ. I really need this equipment. So we went to downtown LA. I think we spent like $1,000 on credit, and we got like some boof ass system that you see like old school Latino DJs that go to quinceañeras and have these big boom box speakers and dumb equipment. But you know, it got me started, it got me going, and you know, from there I grew. Obviously, I got turntables, I did the whole thing. I'm just trying to skip through the fluff, but so I started DJing. I did all like the high school junior balls, proms,
did everything, like
flyer parties. Event. High school events, every party you can think of in our area, I was probably a part of. Or I had
my
a set
cousin's
in
quinceañeras, my family party,
anything that I can grab, I did it. You know, a lot of times I would do it for super cheap. Sometimes I do sets for free, like whatever I could just to get my name out there, and it worked. You know, a lot of people knew who I was because me and my buddy Rudy would DJ, like me and Skills, like that's all we would do. Like we would just take over like the city out here, and from there we started doing like clubs. We did like any old clubs you can think of in OC, Hollywood. We weren't even 21 at the time. I think we were barely 18. And I remember one time Power 106 came to the high school and they were doing like they bring the team and they play basketball, right? Or something like that?
Yeah.
So DJ Charisma came with the street team and they had a whole like basketball.
They play against your high school,
Power 106 comes and they play against your high school and whatever. So I think that day she forgot her needles for her turntables and she got on the mic. She's like, yo, any real DJs out here, like, what's up? Come to the booth.
So crazy.
And me and Rudy were like, yo, like, we're DJs. We're here. I don't know who else was DJing in high school at the time. So we go to the booth and we're like, yo, what's up? And then she's like, oh, do you guys have needles on you? And I live like 5 minutes from the high school, my parents' house. And I was like, yeah, I got them at home. I can go get them real quick. Yeah. She's like, yo, can you do me that? I forgot my needles, blah, blah. We're like, yo, I think this is Rudy's idea. He's like, if we wait for the needles, you got to let us DJ for 10 minutes. And she, I mean, looking back at it now, why the fuck would she do? Like, I don't care, whatever. So she's like, all right, bet. So we go, we get our needles. We played like the best 10 minutes of our life. Like we were scratching and mixing and whatever we could and whatever. I guess she was impressed and she gave us her card and she's like, yo, call me tomorrow and let's set something up. And me and Rudy were like, what the fuck just happened? And so I call because Rudy was like, he was a talent, but he was never like business savvy at the time. Yeah. He wouldn't know like how to talk to people like that. That was kind of, he was just super talented. So I call or I text Charisma, whatever it was. And then she's like, cool, come to the station on Thursday. There's a tryout spot. You guys are both dope. Like, come by. And I was like, perfect. Like, do we need to bring anything? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, nothing. You can just bring your ID. Da, da, da. She's like, you both are 18, right? And at the time, I was 17 and Rudy was 18. And I'm like, fuck. So I was like, yo, like, here's a rundown. Like, I'm 17. Rudy's 18. Because I think he was born like 91 or December or something like that. Same. And I was just a couple of months younger. And she's like, oh, you got to be 18. So tell your boy to come and blah, blah. Yeah. And I was like, fuck.
Heart shattered.
Crushed. But I was like, whatever, you know? So Rudy ended up going. He got long story short, he got the gig. He started working at Power, did the whole street team, did his whole journey with them and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, fuck, like, you know what? I can't do this. But I also experienced the journey with Rudy. You know, I would help him out a lot. I'd be at all the events. And, you know, I networked with all the people that he was with too. So it's kind of like we were both in the same space, just that he had the title. And I think that kind of made me realize like, yo, like, he was my right-hand man at the time. So I was like, yo, like, do your thing, bro. Like you go, like, you blow up, whatever. Let me be behind the scenes. Let me like, I'll still network. I'll still meet the right people. I'll still shake hands. I'll still be at the events. I'll figure out how to finesse my way in there. And that's when I started liking the behind the scenes part of everything and like the business side of things. I think you can see that. So this is straight out of high school. I went to college, really pursued the DJ stuff. I started taking classes in marketing and communications and, you know, seeing what it took to be more of a behind the scenes in radio, like the program directors or sponsorship, whatever it was. So, but in doing all that, I needed to make money. So I did the whole same thing. I did Nordstrom, I did retail. And then I started interning at Popular Demand, which is a clothing brand. Yeah. So while I was DJing, I was still interning because this brand at the time, they were like the cool guys. They were in the clubs. They were the loud ones. They were at the tables. They did all that stuff. And it fit in line with my DJ lifestyle. Yeah. So I was like, yo, I'll intern, fuck it.
And it was a really cool place to network.
It was a stepping stone, for sure, looking back at it. And I don't knock it for what I got out of it.
And you were involved in a lot of big projects. Like, I was just an intern there. Like, you actually worked there for a while.
Yeah. I mean, when I interned, I think the company was like 9 months old. Like, they were just starting, but they had just blew up all over Hollywood, and they were like the thing.
Talk about the projects that you did there. I think that's like
I don't fucking remember. I know. Oh, actually, yeah, I do. So, I mean, they opened up a store in Fairfax. I was managing the store at the time. Diddy came by. We had YG come by. Common. I introduced Common on stage at our event. It was a lot. It was just like.
And I would always be in Irvine, like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, there was
so cool.
There was a lot more behind the scenes. I mean, I started like in the warehouse, just shipping stuff out. I was an intern, so I was like going to Ralph's and picking up waters for the office.
Same.
You know, I
off my gas.
I took the owner's car to get washed and get his windows tinted. You know, whatever was thrown at my way, I did it. And then I ended up just being a fly on the wall. And like, I guess they liked me around. They gave me a full-time position. The first time around, like, I don't know what the position was. I was kind of like a liaison in a sense. Like, if somebody was in town, I had to figure out where they were. Like, if it was a DJ, where are they spinning at? What are they doing? Where are they staying at? How can we connect with them? How can we get them product? But at that time, there was no real like influencer marketing thing yet.
It was just trying to grow.
And that's kind of what I think it was at the time. It was before its time. So it just wasn't making sense. So they actually let me go.
Yeah.
And I was
this is a kind of a cool story too. But at the time it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then like the whole comeback thing was pretty cool.
So too. they let me go and whatever. I forgot what I did in the meantime. And I remember they opened up a Fairfax store. And we were looking for sales reps, and I was like, "Fuck it, I work retail, and like I know these guys." So I submitted a resume, I submitted a cover letter, and I applied like anyone else. And then I remember, I think the owner thought that was cool.
Yeah.
He was like, you could have easily hit my line and be like, yo, like, what's up? But you actually applied like anyone else, didn't ask for anything. And they gave me the opportunity to go work at the store. And then from the store, I started managing the store. From that, I was managing the store and doing some marketing stuff with the marketing director there and just dabbing my hand in everything.
Yeah.
So...
and it was also kind of like a smaller company.
It was super small. It was like
run by a little bit of people.
Less than 10 people. So, I mean, my current business partner was there also. So, like, we did everything from like production to visuals to marketing to social media to seeding product to networking, hosting events, being at events, everything you could think of. It was more than a clothing brand, I think. And that's kind of what kind of molded me to where I am today. But anyways, with being there for so long, I think I was there for a couple of years, like 3-4 years maybe. The brand itself was going in a different direction. The product wasn't developing where I wanted it to be at. Like, you want to be somewhere where you can feel proud wearing the stuff that they were doing. And I think at that time they were focusing on wholesale. So like the designs were shifted towards like zoomies, the foot actions, the trendy stuff like t-shirts, whatever. I was growing up, so I wanted like flannels. I wanted cool things that were coming up, and like they just didn't provide that.
And I think also like when you work for a company for so long, I don't want to say like you get frustrated by like the same situation, but there's always like, I think me and you are both like on the same page where like we know when certain things can be better, or we know when like how to make things grow, but then everybody's just not on board, or there's certain things that like keep you back from it.
At the end of the day, you're an employee. So
and it makes you frustrated as an employee because
you have so many ideas.
I
remember at the time like Facebook ads were becoming a thing, and I was like, yo, we need to be on Facebook ads. But the owner didn't want to see that perception of very salesy. Like he was very like, we're the cool guys on the block, and like we can't have that like negative. And if we would have done that back then, like the company would have been 10 times as big, because it was in the beginning phases when it was easy to enter the market. But whatever. So long story short, I quit and I started Sworn Was.
It was meant to be.
I think so.
You were meant to quit, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long time coming. Like, you know, it was just, you're unhappy in certain places, and like the people were amazing. The environment was cool, but just, you know, you can only take so much of the same stuff over and over.
Yeah.
But again, I don't discredit what I learned there. You know, it was an amazing opportunity, amazing people that I worked with. And I took those talents elsewhere.
Wait, can you please just like 30 seconds about your one-day job? Just 30 seconds.
I remember. All right, we'll make this quick. I'm trying to make my part shorter than yours.
It's because it's good.
So when I quit, I didn't have a fucking plan. I didn't have any. I had like $2,000 saved up, if that. Because at the same time, I was getting paid little. I was commuting from. I was going to school at Cal State Long Beach, so I was going to Cal State Long Beach to Southgate to Studio City and back, and doing the whole circuit because I was a full-time student. So I was basically just getting paid in gas money and food, and I wasn't really saving anything.
And your Camaro wasted gas like crazy.
I had a Camaro payment because I thought I was a cool guy. I don't know, man. It was dumb. But so once I quit, I was like, I stood for a couple weeks, and I was like, well, I should probably get some money coming in, and like this DJ stuff is cool, but it's not making me what I needed to make. It's not a full-time job yet. So I applied everywhere, and the first thing that landed was a suit company. Yeah. And they were looking for somebody to do like.
It was in Studio City too, because I was working there.
No, it was
far.
Like Century City or like somewhere out by the 405.
Yeah, you're right.
And
I don't know
it was like a e-commerce something super entry level, and I had experience in design and website development. I was super overqualified, and the guy's like, you know, it's like $13 an hour, and you're probably just gonna be here in the store like selling suits. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, like I'll take anything. I need some money. So I went, and first off,
you texted me that morning. You're like, fuck this drive.
The drive was, dude,
I do that
terrible.
Drive every day. I know.
I had to take the 405. It was terrible. I get there, it's a dead ass suit company, like boring. Like the people that work there are like older, like I don't know what ethnicity they were. I want to say something Middle Eastern. And so there was like a barrier in like culture. And after lunch, I think at lunchtime I realized I'm gonna quit. Like this is.
Yeah, you texted me saying like, I can't do it.
I was like, I'm probably not gonna come back after lunch. And I was like, you know what, man, like this isn't for me. Like it's not gonna work out. Blah blah blah. Like I appreciate the opportunity. Da 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 da. Yeah. And then he kind of didn't know what to say, and then he's like, all right, cool, whatever. Yeah. And then his dad, who owned the business, called me, And then he's like, oh, my son tells me that you don't want to work for us no more. Da, 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 da. He's like, is it the pay? We can raise your pay for $2 more. And da, da, da. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, it's just not for me. Da, da, da. He's like, I know you're overqualified, but we think we can grow with you. And I was like, nah, man, this ain't it. Like, I didn't last a day.
Yeah. But I think that also goes to show, like, something we were talking about earlier. It's like, follow your instinct. And, like, you kind of know, right? It's like, if you wanted to give that job a try for a week, like, you could have, but, like,
at the end of the day,
it wasn't going to go
I knew
anywhere.
It wasn't for me. It wasn't passionate. It was a cash grab, and if that, it wasn't even much cash to begin with. So I thugged it out again. I kept applying, and I remember I was at, like, my bottom dollar. Like, I didn't know how I was going to pay my car. I didn't know how to pay my phone bill. But it was like, I personally had never been there because I'd always DJ'd. I always sold, like, ringtones. Like, I figured out how to make money. So for me to be at that bottom, like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was borderline, like, I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. So by the glory of God, I got a fucking call back from somebody, and it was a women's clothing brand, and they were like, yo, we're looking for somebody to do our Shopify store. And I was like, bro, that's my bread and butter. I can build Shopify stores in a day. Like, let's go. I interviewed. The guys were super fucking cool. They knew about, like, the streetwear culture. They knew about they lived, like, near Fairfax. There were some Jewish guys, super trendy. One of the guys was, like, actually a singer for the Wailers. Like, their family has, like, crazy connections in fashion and import export, whatever the fuck. So I got the job, and I was their e-commerce marketing manager. So I handled the websites. I handled their ads, Google ads, all this kind of stuff. And, you know, they promised me, like, you know, the pay is going to be little. There's no benefits, but, you know, we can pay you with, like, if the sales go up, like, we'll give you bonuses and da-da-da-da. Sold me the dream. Cool, let's go for it. So I was there for, like, a year. I did way more than I thought I was supposed to. I figured out how to set up their whole ad situation. They got more sales, but their business model just wasn't working for what things were transitioning. People were no longer doing, like, retail. Like, little stores were closing. Like, they needed to go direct to consumer, and I was trying to tell them that, but their whole business model, their whole, like, tradition was selling to these little stores. And that wasn't panning out, and I wasn't getting the bonuses that I thought I was going to get. And I tried a couple times with them. Like, you know, I had the conversations like, yo, like, this is not where I want to be at full time. Like, this is not going to work out for me, da-da-da-da. And they were super flexible. They're like, yo, if you need to come in late someday, if you need to work from home someday, like, they were super like, we want to make sure you're happy. Like, do whatever you got to do. We'll be here. But
they never, like, give up their dollars, and that happens a lot.
Yeah, they never wanted to pay a little more for what you were worth, for what you were doing. Because I was getting paid an entry-level position price for
a lot
of management position, like running Facebook ads, running your whole e-commerce site, all that kind of stuff. So, but I used that to my advantage. Like, while I was working there, I was building Sworn, and I was still making some money while I was developing.
Yeah, you had a full-time job, and after your full-time, you did, like, my grad school thing, but with the business. Like, you did a 9 to 5, and then you guys had meetings, like, at Starbucks, like, till, like, whenever Starbucks closed.
Yeah, and we didn't have an office space, and it was still, like, a passion project. I had the warehouse in my bedroom. Like, we shipped orders from there. Like, we just figured it out. And it was me and, like, 3 other guys at the time, or 3 other guys at the time, I think. I don't remember. And so, again, I used that job as a stepping stone. I used it as income. I used it to finance my life. And from there...
You always wanted to quit and do Sworn.
I always wanted to quit. Like, I realized, like, you know, I couldn't be at these events, these music video shoots, these networking events, because I had a day job. And there was times, like, celebrity or people that were in connection with celebrities that were in town, like, yo, let's grab lunch, let's grab coffee, whatever. And I couldn't because I was at a physical job. So that was frustrating. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all out. And I told my other business partner at the time, too. I was like, bro, like, if you leave your job, I'll leave my job. And let's just go fucking...
You were shutting it for a little bit. And I was like, you have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary. Like, you don't have a savings account that's, like, big enough to, like, survive your life. Like, you don't know what you're going to do, but you just roll the dice and you figure out, like, I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So I told him, like, yo, bro, once you quit, let me know. I'll put my 2 weeks in and let's go. We'll find a little office somewhere and, like, we'll put our heads in the game and, like, this is what we're going to do. So sure enough, he was fed up with his job too. Yeah. Put in his 2 weeks. I put in mine and we were out. So we left our jobs. We got a small little office in downtown LA. Actually, it was an expensive office, more than what we needed. It was at the WeWork Tower in the gas building on 5th Street, next to the U.S. Bank Tower, really nice, next to your aunt where she worked at. Next to where you worked at, actually.
Yeah, we worked together for
So we were neighbors. We carpooled again. Funny how that always works out.
So cute.
So It was cool. It was a place just to get our heads in the game and to kind of just, it was kind of a flex. So we had meetings there. We had people come over and it was like meet us at the bank tower or at the gas tower on 5th Street and all that kind of stuff. And it was a good time. It helped us, kind of really get our heads in the game. But it was just unnecessary because the warehouse was still in my bedroom. So we'd work all day and then I'd go home and I'd pack orders and like it was just endless, never disconnect. So we were there for like about a year, and then we decided, you know what, it's time to like look elsewhere. We looked at downtown, everywhere was crazy for like a creative space, warehousing space.
And then the parking situation is crazy.
The parking was expensive, so I think this spot that we're at now currently just kind of landed on our lap. We weren't even going to look at it because of the space. It's in Bell Gardens, and we're just like, that doesn't sound like appealing at all. You'll never have people show up there. Like, why would anybody go there? But then we kind of like shifted our mental, and it was less about impressing people. Because I think at PD, that was one thing that was instilled with us. It's like, our office is near Cahuenga and Highland, and it's near Hollywood and
it's like
all that.
It's a really nice studio. And
so it was a flex. But with us, it kind of became more important to be functional than to be a flex. So we didn't care about the space, where it was located at. So we went to go visit it. Spot was great. Good size, good parking right off the freeway. Roll-up door so you can bring in pallets of stuff. There was no problems. And prices way better than what we were paying in downtown. So we locked it in and we've been there since. We built it from the ground up. We actually built the walls that are there, shelving, all that kind of stuff. So we made it our home and it's been a great space for us. And it's allowed us to kind of grow as a business, grow as people, let us be creative. And everything that we've learned with Sworn has allowed me and my business partner, Jerry, to develop another company called Premier Group. So with Premier Group, we basically help businesses, brands, a lot more restaurants than anything actually, which is funny, develop their whole branding, visuals, web presence, marketing strategies, everything from the ground up. And we've been doing that for a while. Before COVID, I would DJ. So just finding all these different streams of income, because people see when you have a brand and they think like, oh, you must be rolling in the dough because you're out here, making crazy orders. But what people don't fail to realize is that a lot of times we don't pay ourselves. Like we really reinvest ourselves into our business. Like everything that we make, we put it back in the business, because otherwise, what's the point of taking out all the profit if nothing else is guaranteed? You can't pay for your production next month. So we definitely hustled our asses off for like a good while. And like people, I think, don't realize that or wonder like, how can you survive if you don't pay yourself? But the business was paying for all our overhead. So rent, utilities, product, marketing expenses, that shit was covered. So we had really nothing to worry about other than just like how to eat. And that's kind of why we hustled and we figured out these extra streams of income and other business moves and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's always been instilled in myself and my partners. It's kind of like the hunger for more. So that's kind of where we've been at for the past couple years. And we're on year 5 now. And again, I don't think I'm anywhere near where I want to be at. But I know that I have to keep going because of the trajectory that we've been on and how we've grown so fast, and from where we started to where we're at now. I know there's a lot more room for improvement, a lot more room for growth. And it's just one of those things you kind of got to like bite the bullet for a while, and then one day it's going to all pay off. And I think that's something that I want to help other people realize too. Like it's not going to be an immediate fucking, you hit the lottery. Like it's not going to work that way. As long as you hustle and you're able and you're willing to like eat dirt for a while, you're going to end up eating the fruits of your labor soon enough.
And I think one cool thing about you is you actually get to like pave and like plan out your path. Whereas opposed to someone who works like at a company, like really doesn't get to do that. You just have to go with everyone's flow. But with that, like, where do you see Sworn in like the next 3 years?
It's crazy. Like I don't know, like, because the way the brand has been able to grow with us as individuals, as the owners. Where before the other company worked at, we didn't really have much to say. We were just kind of the worker bees. So here we're actually able to, if trends changes or our personal preferences changes, or let's say one day I want to make a fucking flannel with like a Sherpa lining, like we can go ahead and do that as long as all of us agree and think it makes sense and it's on the vision for the brand. Like let's do it. So I definitely see us growing into a better category space, into a more elevated menswear. Price points will change because everything will upgrade, and I want to see Sworn being more than just t-shirts, because I think we've outgrown that. I think people
no, for sure.
People don't know us for t-shirts because that's not.
And I think like even if it's just like still your basics like hats and t-shirts, everything that you guys have done has fully grown. Yeah,
I think we give it the same love that any Italian luxury brand will give their product. We just do that shit domestically, or we figure out how to make it happen here.
I think one thing I want to highlight, because I think it's something like I'm proud of, and that like your team should be proud of, and that other people can't happen to notice, and I think they think it's cool. And I know our family, like for them, like it's a big deal too, because all of these like cool celebrities or athletes have worn your stuff. And it's not even to flex, it's more of like an inspiring point of view, because I feel like things like this for people from our community are just like never really happen, or seem so far from being obtainable. So why don't you talk about that a little bit, because it's kind of cool.
So you're asking who's worn our stuff notably?
Yeah, I mean, we all know, but like, tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I honestly don't know like a list, but I know the person that I think the majority of the people, our peers, know us for is Maluma.
But
what the fuck was that?
I tried to do his baby thing.
I'm not gonna edit that out.
You're a dick.
So Maluma's worn our stuff a lot.
That was epic, because it was like during the time that he was
promoting his album.
Up. Yeah,
he was promoting Fame, and I remember seeing him wear and it was a really dope hoodie too. It was like.
He's worn a lot of stuff, dude.
He's worn it. It's funny because like everything we gave him, he literally wore it back to back to back to back to back.
And I love it because a lot of people send you the stuff. Like, so sometimes like our family will send it, or like friends will send it. We're just like,
yo, is this your stuff? And it's funny because people like now they're like, oh, like that's Maluma's brand, or like you're wearing that because you want to be like Maluma now. Like it's kind of like within my close circle, people like are associating us with Maluma, and it's kind of funny. Other notable people that I can think of off top, Bryson Tiller wore our stuff. Roger Saffold from the LA Rams, and now the Tennessee Titans. I'm blanking out, but it's a lot of other celebrities, a lot of other athletes, actually. We gifted stuff to Alex Caruso before he became Caruso, and we built that relationship before all the fame and stuff. So we try to develop organic relationships, whether it's with the person directly or with their stylist, with their publicist, with their assistants, because we know that's a better approach than just trying to DM Chris Brown directly and be like, yo, what's up, bro?
But sometimes people reach out to you guys, like even if it's just like not like
Joel Santana.
Joel
Santana DM'd us, and he was just like, yo, I need that. Like he gave us like a screenshot of everything. He's like, I need all that.
Or like big YouTubers or influencers, they'll be like, wait, like this is fire.
That's true. We do have a big list of influencers from YouTube and all that kind of stuff that I forgot to mention.
Sorry.
But I mean, that's been cool. It's been great to see. It's dope. Social proof. So now when we talk about the brand, people are like, oh, I've seen it before somewhere. And whether it's a Maluma or whoever, like now they can put somebody notable to the brand, and it gives us a little more, I guess, validity. Yeah. I mean, not that we were looking for that, but it definitely helps. I can't lie that it doesn't help. But so if you're wondering how we got to Maluma, I'm not gonna tell you shit. Figure that shit out. He's good people, and his team is good people.
Yeah, and it goes back to like building relationships and just networking, because
building relationships, networking. See, like those things open doors like that, like getting stuff to product to celebrities, getting it to the right people, getting it into the
sometimes it's like even just your work, like the good product like does its own job.
And I have trouble with that, because I always want to like showcase everything I do behind the scenes on Instagram stories and stuff like that, but there's so much that gets done that I forget to like document it, or sometimes when I document it, it's like it doesn't showcase everything, and I wish I could figure out how to do that better, but that's something on my goals for next year, I guess.
Do you ever feel weird about feeling like you're showing off?
100%.
Me
100%.
Too. It's weird.
And I know my business partners, they also kind of are in between all that kind of stuff too.
It's a weird thing, because I feel like obviously you as a person and you as like an independent person, like you have to showcase your work in order to get more work, right? Or like to establish yourself.
By me showing that, let's say for the simplest example, by me showing that I make clothes, somebody can see that and be like, oh, he makes clothes. Like I have this artist that needs merch for his tour. Like let's connect with him. And maybe I don't print myself directly, but I can figure it out. I build that relationship, and that can go to something even bigger. Maybe it's a collaboration with an artist like a Maluma or whatever. So it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword, because I don't want to seem like I'm showing off, because that's not where my intentions are. But I do know that by showcasing this work, people can see it, people can gravitate towards it. People can now familiarize myself with that work. And potentially, even if it just inspires somebody else, like a kid like me from this city, like if it helps them figure out, like, yo, like he looks just like me. He's from Southgate. He wants to get high, like, and he got shit to so and so. Like that shit is also very like it drives me.
Yeah, no, for me it's weird too, because sometimes it's like when we go on like my work trips and things like that. Part of me, I was like, this is cool. Like I want to share it with the world, but then part of me is like, people are gonna be like, this bitch is just cocky.
On
like,
a PJ, drinking champagne.
I mean, but at the same time, it sucks so bad because you don't want to be that person and you don't want to come off that way. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like you're working your ass off to put yourself in that situation. So part of me is, it's like, don't we deserve this? Yeah,
I have my days where I'm just like, fuck it up. I'll post it all up. And
me too. And then other days, and it's funny because sometimes I'm so stupid, but I'll be asleep at night and I'd be like, should I delete that? Like it's like 2 in the morning, and it's just like media, so man. Dumb. All right, so I think we'll end this with advice, and we should both say what advice we would give to our younger selves or to other people in our community. I think part of you has to know what you want to do, because I'm coming from this, like if I were speaking to my little cousins who I love and like look
a lot
up
of
to
them
me,
don't know what they want to do. They go into college undeclared
and I think for us, something that's heavily focused or emphasized as we grow up is like go to college. When you go to college, you have to have somewhat of a plan, because otherwise you're going to waste years of your life that are very valuable. And granted, like some people just go because they want financial aid, which is like cool, you know, like take advantage of that, because where else are you going to get free money? Yeah. I'm totally for like delaying college until you figure out what you want to do. Like sometimes I do wish I would have gone like later in life, just because I feel like I would have been a little bit more responsible, experienced more, and like had a better sense of how to get to where I wanted to be.
And don't knock community college. Like if you have a job and community college, and if you know what you want to do, community college can be an even better route, because you're taking the courses that you really want to learn.
And I think it's hard for us to understand that or be able to
it's hard for like our parents,
because of our parents, and most of the time we feel guilty, and it's like, oh my god, like I have to go to this accredited 4-year university to like make my parents happy, because that was their goal or that was their dream. But at the end of the day, you have to realize like this is your life and this is your dream.
You don't get a second chance.
You don't get a second chance, and sometimes it's not about making them happy, because like this is your life, and you rather optimize your opportunities with what you have as much as you can, and live your life independently, because that will guarantee you more success in the end. Something I regret not doing is studying abroad. Yeah. If I can go back, I would definitely study abroad. If you do decide to go to college, like study abroad, take advantage of those opportunities. I know a lot of the times there are grants, and there's really like no better experience. And I think when you are going to get hired or when you're going to interviews, like that really speaks volumes, like having experience at an international level, which again, like and I've heard this from actual people who have hired at big companies too. So that's one thing I definitely regret. And if I can go back in time, I would definitely study abroad. And then as a woman, I work in entertainment, and sadly, like, you know, when you watch TV shows and you see all of like the discrimination to women, you still see like racism. One example I can think of right now is the morning show on Apple TV, or I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, but we've all seen like the Harvey Weinstein stuff, and we see things like that like on the news and stuff. Like sadly, I have experienced like similar things firsthand. So just know, like, I don't know, like follow your instinct. And for women, unfortunately, it is like a little bit harder of a work experience, and just to be like in the industry and working with other people. And sadly, like we still go through things, but just like be a badass. And I think one day, I'm still waiting to get to that point, but I think one day we will all be at the point where no one can tell you shit. Yeah. And you're able to clap back.
Get to the point where you don't have to introduce yourself in a room.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, so the biggest thing I keep telling a lot of people, like anybody that asks me as far as advice, is like, yo, just intern, like get as much experience as you can in any field, in every field as possible, because you never know what you're gonna like. You know, you can start by thinking you want to be a radio DJ, but until you actually intern at a radio company, you see the politics behind it, and you're like, yo, this isn't for me. But you like the marketing side, you like the sales side, you like the advertising side. Like, you don't know until you get your feet wet. So I think the biggest thing is be open to different opportunity and just like intern, apply, like travel, like, you know, see different things outside of your normal circle, because otherwise you're gonna be so close-minded and think there's only one clear path to success, quote unquote, that you don't see that there's other roads to that same goal at the end of the day. So I think big thing, just intern, be open-minded, network, you know, build that relationship with as many people as possible, find yourself a mentor if possible. I wish that's something that I would have done.
Yes.
And just, you know, build relationships. This is important. And as much as I keep repeating it, just build those relationships. And even if it's like, if you want to ask Arleen a question, like, yo, just shoot her a DM, shoot her an email. If you want to ask me a question,
I
go
will
for
respond.
Yeah.
We both will respond.
That's because I really wish like I had people like that growing up in Southgate High School and like all that kind of stuff. Like, I just didn't see that as important until later in life. And now I value that a lot more.
I want to jump in there just a little bit too, because I think something that was very beneficial to me is that all of the people that happened to be my bosses and or mentors were all Latinos, whether it was a female or male. And coincidentally, 2 of them were actually from a neighboring city, which is Huntington Park. Yeah. So for me, that was super inspiring, because I saw people at a very high level that actually engaged with me. And to engage with people like at a high level, you'll find is kind of difficult. So for me, that was very inspiring. And for me, it's like, I see someone that looks at me, that talks like me, that whose accent sometimes slips out, that comes from a similar city as me, and they've made it. And to have mentors like that are willing to guide you and are willing to, they still text me. Like, I show you every time, you know, one of my mentors texts me, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, they remember me. Like, that means so much, right? Or just to have that constant communication. I think that's super, super important. And even if it's someone like me, or if it's someone like Barry, or if it's someone that, I don't know, you meet like at a networking event, like, always just make sure, like,
just follow up,
and not even as like, not everything has to be business. Like, everybody is human, so everyone has like that personal aspect to them that you can relate to outside of work. Like, my mentor actually messaged me about this podcast, and she said, hey, I watched your podcast. And for me, it was like, what? Like, you'd be interested in watching like and it was episode 1. So for me, it's like, that's meaningful, because people are human at the end of the day, and you can relate to them on different levels besides just business. And that's just something good to have.
Fucking spitting bars out here. All right, well, that sums up this episode. But before we go, you know, you guys, we're not gonna leave you hanging. You know, we got to talk about the giveaway. So episodes 4's giveaway was 2 winners, 1 free night each in Rosarito, Baja California, Mexico.
So we're gonna post 2 clips.
So there's gonna be 2 winners, and we're gonna post a video right about
sorry.
So congratulations, man. We really appreciate you guys. We hope you guys enjoy that trip, because it is an amazing, amazing place, and we know you're gonna enjoy it. And make sure to shout us out. Make sure to shout out Las Olas Grand.
And you guys have been shouting us out. We love it.
The winners specifically.
Oh yeah.
Because you know, we got you.
You're welcome.
We're gonna work on future other giveaways and stuff like that. You know, we don't know yet, but all in all, man, we appreciate you guys listening to this episode. We hope, you know, you guys take something away from this. You know, we know it's not the funniest episode, but I think this is an important episode. I think
it's a long one, but it's a good one.
It's a long one, but it's a good one. I think there's a lot of good points that are made, and I think if we can help anybody, inspire anybody, if, you know, whatever.
Shit's not easy.
And
we know that, but
we all go through our bad days. We all have our breakdowns. We all feel like it's the end of the world, but you know what? As long as you persevere and go through it, like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Go be a badass.
That was good, huh? Go be a badass. Go be like Arleen. Because by next episode, we might have a kid right here.
Maybe so.
So once again, thank you guys for watching episode number 5, Hustle and Soul. We'll see you guys for the next one.